All videos on this channel reflect my personal experiences and opinions as a former business owner. The views expressed are my own and not statements of fact about any company or individual. In the last episode, I followed a mystery rider truck hoping to find out who this local dealer really was. After a few hours of chasing it around, I learned the truck actually belonged to TTR Shipping, but that's where the trail ended. No luck in finding the local dealer. At this point, Canon started blowing me off. Every message or call just gets ignored. I've been trying to find solutions, searching for a Canon certified technician, offering to get one trained, even reaching out to Randy, the former Canon tech who worked out of our facility, but no response there either. It's like we're being completely stonewalled. Meanwhile, I'm looking for other ways to move the business forward. I've started focusing on managed freight services and working on a few new ideas too. But the situation with Canon is serious. I had to disclose the likely loss of our biggest account to the buyer, and now the sale of my company is in jeopardy. Then, right at the end of it all, something unexpected happened. Canon delivered a large box production unit straight to offsite, an order that should have gone to the local dealer. But before it shipped out, I placed an Amazon tracking tag inside the box. So now we'll be able to see exactly where it goes and maybe finally find out who this mysterious local dealer really is. Before I continue on, someone commented on the scenes in the last episode where I was following the rider truck and said that I should have just let it go. Well, business owners aren't wired that way. When you own a business, every customer matters and every dollar the company brings in is critical. Many people saw me chasing a rider truck. What they didn't see was that I was chasing information. I have payroll to make, employees who count on me to pay their rent, landlords who don't care about anything except getting paid, bills for fuel, truck payments, and insurance premiums that never stop coming in. That's the difference between being an employee and being a business owner. I'm not an influencer trying to flex or show off for a follower. This is a raw behind the scenes look at what it's actually like being an entrepreneur. And the truth is, there are a lot more bad days than good ones. July 22nd, 2024, 7:10 a.m. Pounding on sales this last week. It's on me. I should have been doing that for all the years. I get sucked into all these other parts of the business, operations and trucks and stuff like that, and call out sick, it costs us sales. Sales is what suffers when people aren't doing their jobs. And sales cures everything too. Canon's not responding at all. I've had a couple requests out, hey guys, what the fuck's going on? You know, did their cloak and dagger stuff and now just are incredibly quiet. They had a machine delivered to us, large production one, so I got one of those Amazon tiles. We snuck it into the machine just in case they do the little cloak and dagger shit again, so at least we know where it ends up, dealer or who's doing what, so we can have some visibility to that. Sitting there on my hands isn't going to be something I'm good with either. Later that day, I got two pieces of information, and both were bad. The first was that production unit we'd been tracking was picked up by the so-called local dealer. The tracking tag showed the copier was now sitting in TTR's warehouse. The second one came from one of our drivers. He was at a freight depot called Forward Air picking up crates of medical equipment for one of our deliveries. While he was there, he noticed a Canon order waiting for pickup, and it was addressed to TTR Shipping. At this point, the pieces were starting to come together, and none of it looked right. I was beginning to suspect there may have never been a local dealer at all. The next day, I went out to visit our customers and to call on others we had lost to TTR in the past. While I was out, I drove over to TTR's location. This time it was to see if Randy's truck was there, and sure enough, he was parked right there in front. It appears Randy's been working for TTR the whole time and there never has been a local dealer. Thursday, August 1st, 5 p.m. Here's where we're at. Yesterday, I finally got an acknowledgement from at Canon, who replied back to my last email from 7/29 and said, we can schedule a call after EOM, end of month, Friday morning. I was like, yes, never heard back from him. So then today I sent a meeting request. Still, no 8 a.m. call. Are we good? Crickets. But understanding what was his objective would have been from that call. No, we didn't get whacked. Oh, well, Scott, month ends happen. TTR probably flew out people. They let everybody else, all the other shit that they did, age, because they knew it, all their chips were in on this. But the odd part is you think he would just take, results are in, okay, put a bullet in offsite. They're not. So it's weird. What I did was had found vice president of procurement and logistics at Canon. He seems really high up. I reached out to him on LinkedIn, said, hey, we do your deliveries in Arizona and New Mexico. Just wanted to introduce myself and connect. And he replied back like right away with a nice note. Hey, looking forward to meeting you soon. I hear good things from my team about you in Arizona and New Mexico. Thank you. Something like that. It was a really nice message. Obviously, no, it did not look like he knew what was going on. So basically what this told me was this little concocted scheme was put together by, but we got whacked. And how it happened is really disturbing.
list out the events, and basically when I wrote it out and looked at it, the massive amount of deception and lies that they did to do this just blew my mind. But I don't want to jump the gun, push that button, because they could also be, that TTR thing didn't go well at all. Maybe put the toothpaste back in the tube with offsite, and they try to do that, and I just go and clinch defeat from the jaws of victory by going nuclear. So I can't do that. I gotta be a little more patient. I'm learning that over the years, is let things play out a little bit more first. And it's not too late. Learn, get more intelligence, see what it is. This is just bad enough that I think honestly, if I was running this department and I had these people doing this shit, I'd have to fire them. They created the crisis that they utilized to justify severing the relationship, meaning they laid off the Canon certified technician that was in my warehouse and then said, hey, Scott, since you don't have a Canon certified technician in your warehouse, we're going to have to send this business to a dealer to have them do it instead. They gave that Canon certified technician a severance with that, and with the severance comes a NDA, and then he went to work for TTR. They created the problem, and then they moved him over to TTR. So that's someone doing that in their organization, created a pretty elaborate set of lies. Got other people in there to lie, saying dealer instead of carrier. They wouldn't say who it was. You just don't do that in business. Concocting major deceptions, just own it. So it doesn't make any sense. The optics won't be good.
I was finally able to get a call with Canon to discuss offsite status. From that call, it appears the Canon representative who first told us about the, quote, transition to a local dealer had actually met with TTR Shipping about 2 weeks before Canon terminated Randy, the Canon technician who worked out of our Phoenix warehouse. In those meetings, before Randy was ever let go, Canon and TTR had already agreed that all business would be transitioned from offsite over to TTR. According to Canon, TTR also agreed to hire Randy immediately after his termination. So this whole thing was set up days, maybe even weeks in advance before offsite was ever told anything. Canon created the situation themselves by firing Randy and then used that as justification to pull all business from offsite on the grounds that we no longer had a Canon authorized technician. During the call, the Canon rep kept bringing up a, quote, dealer model and said he was being forced into it, but there never seems to have been any gap between when Randy left Canon and when he started with TTR. It was all prearranged. And the problem with that explanation is that TTR isn't a dealer. They're a transportation company just like offsite. There never was a local dealer. It looks like Canon created that story and then spread it throughout their organization to justify the decision. That would also explain why our questions about getting one of our own technicians Canon certified were ignored and why Randy never returned my calls. The issue is never that offsite didn't have a certified technician. What was really behind this change, why Canon made it, still isn't clear. Based on what I've learned, the direct supervisor of this Canon employee didn't even know about the change. His comments on LinkedIn only had good things to say about offsite. So the question I'll probably never get an answer to is, why would a mid-level transportation manager secretly meet with TTR, move Randy over there, and redirect all of Canon's business away from offsite? At one point in the call, the Canon representative even said, as far as rate-wise, TTR is way higher than you. From this call, I already have a pretty good idea of how this is going to play out. I've seen this pattern before with other dealers here in Arizona with TTR. In my experience, a story gets created, and then almost overnight, the account shifts from offsite. I'll try to escalate this again, but I know how this usually goes. Senior management passes it down to middle management, and middle management rarely digs into it. It's something I've never understood. When a vendor raises a concern about a procurement issue, that's not something they do lightly. It's a big deal. If a vendor came to me with a potential issue inside my business, I'd look into it. That's the difference between an employee and a business owner. A business owner looks because at the end of the day, every dollar matters. If someone on your team is wasting money, that problem needs to be solved. Over the next few weeks, I focused on sales. I needed new storage deals, so I started reaching out to some larger opportunities. I found a piece of software that let me make custom cartoons, something different that might get people's attention. One of the people I reached out to was someone I'd met years back through a peer group, but he never replied. The cartoon approach was a bust. No one even acknowledged them. If I could get a national OEM to buy into offsite storage program, that would change everything. I reached out to someone from a sales training peer group. She's one of the best in the business. Between her expertise, my leasing background, and our storage program, I figured we could really make something happen. I offered to pay her $1,000 for just a couple hours of her time. She declined and said she was booked through mid-2025. That one stung. I really needed the help. Around that time, I also came up with the new idea, wrapping copiers. Think about it. Companies spend tens of thousands of dollars on office decor, yet every copier on the market looks the same, plain, bland, white, or gray. No personality. What if we could offer custom wraps, something no one's doing? If Canon sales reps, or any manufacturers for that matter, could include a wrap option in their deals, those copiers would have to come through offsite for the install. We'd get the revenue from the wrap and the delivery. industry. I even took it a step further. We could place a small QR code sticker inside the paper drawer. When a customer's lease ends and they need the wrap removed, they could scan it to schedule the pickup, which means we'd also handle the lease return freight. We already have the facilities, the handling experience, and the national network to do this. So I built a website, wrapmycopier.com, and started experimenting. I wrapped a few machines myself, tested different adhesives, and figured out what works best. The wrap needs to hold up for a 5-year lease term, but still come off cleanly at the end. I found the right balance. I even created a menu of wrap options and a price sheet that sales reps could use to wrap the cost right into their customers' lease payments. You could say we literally wrap it in the payments. It's a creative way for reps to set themselves apart and add profit for their deals, while bringing more business back through offsite. Well, this wraps up my 3-part series sharing my firsthand experience with what I believe to be a deeply flawed procurement process. To be clear, most of the people I've met there have been wonderful, hard workers with true customer service mentality and real professionalism. What's puzzling to me is how a company with Canon's heritage, a Japanese organization that has always placed a high value on integrity and transparency, could appear to endorse or at least overlook the way TTR replaced offsite. But life goes on. Despite everything, I was able to keep offsite on track. The situation with Canon did end up costing me about 25% of my business valuation, a steep price to pay, and the timing couldn't have been worse. Still, the sale eventually closed, as you saw back in episode 2 of this vlog, on October 4th, 2024. Now we're jumping forward again, back to November 2024. I'm fully focused on building my new software company, RenewAlert. When we left off, I was moving from a small warehouse I'd leased into a Regis office closer to home. Around that time, an RFP came across my desk from a major copier manufacturer, a bid the buyer of offsite had asked me to prepare and submit on his behalf. This new opportunity had the potential to replace what was lost with Canon. And what stood out to me was how structured and transparent that process was. It was refreshing to see a company that clearly took procurement seriously.